The top stories tonight in Y News. Metro Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal will be under general community quarantine with heightened restrictions beginning May 15.
The Commission on Elections is eyeing changes in the filing for candidacies amid the pandemic.
The Department of Health is opposing the proposal to issue vaccine passes to fully vaccinated people so indoor establishments can accept more customers. President Rodrigo Duterte will seek the counsel of former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile on issues surrounding the West Philippine Sea dispute.
PhilHealth launches probe on over 15,000 false claims made by health facilities.
And an Indian man who lost his wife and unborn baby to coronavirus disease 2019 shares his wife's final message. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, May 14, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. Metro Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal, also known as the NCR Plus, are placed under a general community quarantine or GCQ with heightened restrictions from May 15 to May 31 amid a decline in new cases of COVID-19 in the country. However, a medical expert appeals to the public to not let their guard down but strictly observe the minimum health standards. Rosalie Cons will tell us why.
The Philippine economy will be further reopened following the decision of the national government to place the NCR Plus areas under the general community quarantine with heightened restrictions until the end of the month. The Private Hospital Association of the Philippines, or PHAP, approves the easing of restrictions but pointed out that minimum public health standards should still be observed.
So okay lang siguro yan. What is important ay yung proper ng minimum health standards, like proper way of wearing the mask. Number 2, social distancing. And number 3, ang pinaka-importante, I think, to increase the immunity of all the people, ay yung magpabakuna po tayo.
Under the GCQ with heightened restrictions, more jobless Filipinos will be able to come to work. Indoor dining services shall be allowed at 20% venue capacity while outdoor dining will be allowed at 50%. Outdoor tourist attractions may be opened at 30%. Meanwhile, religious gatherings and gatherings for necrological services, wakes, interment, and funerals for those who died of causes other than COVID-19 in the NCR Plus shall be allowed up to 10% of the venue capacity. Also continued to be allowed in areas under the GCQ with heightened restrictions are non-contact sports, games, scrimmages held outdoors, and personal care services that allow for services not requiring mask removal, such as salons, parlors, beauty clinics, etc. at 30% capacity. Individuals 18 to 65 years of age are allowed to go out of their homes in GCQ areas with heightened restrictions. The medical expert said the working class should follow more strictly to the minimum health protocols because it is a big part of the population. This sector must also be vaccinated immediately.
Ito po ang ating working class, 20 to 50. Wala pa po ngayon binabakunahan except kung sila ay healthcare workers. So, ganun po. They just have to observe properly. Dapat pong maintindihan nila, observe talaga yung minimum health protocols kasi sila po talaga ang mag-i-spread ng disease na yan.
Rosalie Coz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police or PNP will keep the checkpoints in strategic areas of the so-called NCR Plus and nearby provinces bordering them. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
Philippine National Police Chief, Police General Guillermo Eleazar ordered policemen to continue the strict implementation of health protocols in checkpoints in the NCR Plus borders. Eleazar says only APOR or authorized person outside residence are allowed to pass through the checkpoints.
Malinaw sa sinabi ng IATF na a movement of the non-APOR or mga unauthorized persons, hindi pa rin allowed mag-cross, whether lalabas ka or papasok dito sa ating bubble area. APOR lang ang pwede if their travel is work-related.
The PNP chief also ordered the arrest of those who would be caught smuggling people in and out of NCR Plus using cargo vehicles and van. He also ordered to impound their vehicle.
Yun ang babantayan natin kasi unang-una, nalaman na natin yung modus na yan. So, ang ating kapulisan naman kasama sa kanilang pagtatrabaho is pag-gather ng informasyon. Hindi naman natin pwedeng harangin lahat ng cargo trucks kasi nga, cargo trucks per se should not be checked, they should be unhampered yung kanilang movement. Pero, upon information, or pwede naman tayo magsagawa ng random check para lang malaman itong mga suspect natin or itong nag-organize nito na anytime pwede silang ma-check.
Last March and April, the PNP-HPG apprehended cargo trucks and vans smuggling non-essential passengers outside of Metro Manila. Eleazar also says to strictly coordinate with the LGUs to ensure that no big gathering will be held in their area of responsibility.
Hindi normal ngayon ang panahon dahil sa COVID, kaya wag nating ibalik sa normal ang inuman, bidyoke, sayawan at magarbong handaan. Dahil kapag hindi tayo nag-ingat, malamang pati COVID, imbitado ninyo sa pestahan sa inyo. At sa mga nakipiesta, malamang hindi lang mapagkain sa plastic at styro ang madala nyo. Baka pati COVID, tangay-tangay ninyo.
Eleazar also appealed to business establishments allowed to operate to strictly observe the assigned capacity and comply with health protocols. He warned that establishments could be ordered closed if they do not follow the guidelines set by the national government. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections will resume voter registration in the National Capital Region Plus on May 17. COMELEC is also looking into several adjustments for the next elections if the pandemic continues to rage on. Ray Pelaya reports.
The voter registration in the National Capital Region or NCR and the provinces of Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal resumes beginning Monday, May 17. This after the area will shift to General Community Quarantine or GCQ with heightened restrictions on May 15. The Commission on Elections or COMELEC encourages the public to submit first their information in the COMELEC e-Registro website before going to the registration sites. Voter registration in the offices of election officers will be held from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. during weekdays. The deadline of submission is on September 30.
Ultimately, kailangan pa rin magpa-biometrics, so they really have to go to the COMELEC offices.
Based on the COMELEC data, there are now 58.9 million registered voters in the country. About 3.5 million are actual new registrants out of the 5.5 million target registrants. Meanwhile, the poll body is looking into extending the days of the filing of certificates of candidacy to avoid overcrowding.
So, like mayor and vice mayor, they are both single elected positions. Baka mga 2 o 3 araw ang para sa kanila. And the rest of the filing days would be for the candidates for Sangguniang Panlungsod or Sangguniang Bayan.
The COMELEC Bank is now deciding whether to require candidates to submit a negative COVID-19 test. Guidelines for the campaign period will also be released. Even the presidential debates would probably be done in hybrid, wherein the candidates are the only one present in the venue.
Malaki talaga yung impact ng ating COVID pandemic But rest assured, the COMELEC is doing its best. And kaya naman ng COMELEC na gawin ito despite this COVID-19 pandemic.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Philippines' total tally of COVID-19 cases has climbed to 1,131,467 after the Department of Health or DOH reported 6,784 additional infections today. In its latest bulletin, the DOH said the number of active cases in the country is at 58,986. Of these cases, 93.5% are mild, 2.3% are asymptomatic, 1.8% are severe, and 1.3% are in critical condition. The DOH noted that 5 laboratories have failed to submit data on time. The DOH also reported 2,972 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 1,053,523. The death toll, on the other hand, rose to 18,958 with 137 new fatalities. A recent survey conducted by the Department of Health showed that more Filipinos are now willing to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Filipinos are encouraged to get inoculated against COVID-19. According to the Department of Health, the public now understand that the vaccine supply arriving in the country are safe and effective. Although there's no detailed number or data yet, based on the DOH survey last March 19 to 30, 75% of the Filipino respondents want to get their COVID-19 shot. 85.8% of them want to get their COVID-19 shot if such vaccine is approved by the Food and Drug Administration.
So even without the Pfizer vaccines during this time, mataas na yung kumpiyansa ng ating mga kababayan sa pagbabakuna compared to the initial nung bago tayo mag-umpisa, which was just at 60%. So nakita po natin yung pagtaas talaga ng kumpiyansa ng ating mga kababayan nung nakita nilang marami na pong nababakunahan, lalong-lalo na po at nakita nilang maayos naman ang proseso ng gobyerno.
Meanwhile, the government is expecting for the arrival of 2.2 million doses of Pfizer vaccines from the COVAX facility and 1.8 million doses of CoronaVac this May. The government also targets to reach over 100,000 vaccine doses to be administered daily on the second quarter.
Na yun pong phase ng pagbabakuna natin, highly dependent din sa pagdating ng mga supply dito sa ating bansa. As of May 11, meron tayong 7-day moving average na 67,780. Currently, ang atin ng 7-day moving average is at 83,000. So, ang atin pong target is to reach 120,000 jobs per day.
The DOH explains they are not stocking COVID-19 vaccines. After quality checking once vaccines arrive in the country, they immediately distribute COVID-19 vaccines on their designated allocation. With the 2 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines that arrived last Saturday, 1.5 million of which are allocated for first dose and more than 500,000 for second dose. The DOH once again assures the public that these vaccines will be distributed even before their set expiry date by the end of June and July 2021. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Smart Araneta Coliseum in Quezon City will kick off its operation as a mega vaccination facility tomorrow. The Quezon City government assures the public there will be proper ventilation at the indoor vaccination facility. Janice Ingente reports why.
The Quezon City local government is in full preparations for the opening of the Araneta Coliseum Mega Vaccination Center tomorrow. The facility is capable to inoculate up to 1,500 recipients per day. Measures for indoor settings such as proper filters and fan systems for adequate ventilation will be installed to ensure the safety of everyone who plans to get their jobs at the facility.
The ventilation has been studied already. Pumunta na yung City Health namin dito. Yung pinto na yan sa likod, yung pinakalikod, nakabukas lang siya para at least may circulation. At saka mataas naman yung yung bubong So maganda yung circulation nito.
50 healthcare workers are designated in the mega vaccination facility. Vaccination will begin at 10 a.m. Vaccinees should be scheduled before going to the facility. The facility will be using the AstraZeneca vaccines that are soon to expire.
Meron kaming minimit na target na sinabi ng national government na we have to finish the vaccines in 8 days. No, that's one.
Meanwhile, aside from the mega vaccination facility, the Araneta Group allowed the free use of its passport as an accessible site for the drive-through saliva testing of the Philippine Red Cross.
We have to help curb the surge of COVID-19 to use our passport for their saliva testing. Again, this is free of charge. Dapat sama-sama talaga lahat ng mga sektor. Kasi ang kalaban natin dito hindi natin makita
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Requiring a vaccine pass upon entry in business establishments for all citizens is being proposed. However, the Department of Health opposes the idea, saying it does not guarantee safety against COVID-19 infection. Let's find out why from Asher Cadapan Jr.
Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere reiterates that there are evidences proving that vaccines cannot adequately block the transmission of COVID-19 even if people are fully vaccinated. With this, the Department of Health is not in favor of the proposal to require vaccine pass in the entry of persons in business establishments.
Hindi po kami sang-ayon sa ganyan pagpapalakad o kaya magkakaroon tayo ng ganyang mga proseso. Unang-una po, ang lagi po nating sinasabi sa ngayon, wala pa po tayong sufficient evidence to say na isang taong with complete doses of vaccines already would have that kind of immunity na hindi na siya magkakaroon ng sakit o makakapanghawa.
Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion, on the other hand, explains that aside from safety, the implementation of vaccine pass will encourage more citizens to undergo COVID-19 vaccination.
We have to plan paano natin pupuntahan yung economy safety. Ang nakita natin ay yung kumuha ng vaccine, siguro pwede nang ibigyan ng isang vaccine pass that will allow them greater mobility, no? Katulad dito sa mga restaurants at fast food natin.
But some citizens have different views on the proposal for a vaccine pass.
Pabor ako doon kasi for the safetyness of other people din, lalo na yung mga papasok sa mga establishment.
Mukhang mahirap yan sir Kailangan pa lahat, may vaccine pa. Paano naman yung mga hindi pa kaya magpa-vaccine, di ba?
Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
President Rodrigo Duterte has warned China that he will not withdraw Philippine ships from the West Philippine Sea even if it costs him his life. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
Philippines and China's maritime dispute flared again in March after some 200 Chinese ships swarmed Philippine waters. In his pre-recorded public address aired Friday, President Rodrigo Duterte told China that the two Philippine ships roving around Kalayaan Islands and the Mischief Reef will not withdraw.
Hindi talaga ako atras. Patayin mo man ako, kung patayin mo ako, dito ako. Dito magtapos ang ating pagkakaibigan.
Meanwhile, in a separate interview by Politiscoop to the chairman of the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea and National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon emphasized that they will abide by the order of the President, particularly regarding the statement of the President that he would send warships in the disputed West Philippine Sea if China will start drilling for oil and taking other resources from the area.
May utos na po ang Pangulo natin dyan, kaya alam na natin ang gagawin natin dyan. Alam naman natin ng Malampaya, nandyan ng natural gas to power.
Malaki masyadong yan.
At yung Recto Bank ay maaaring mas malaki pa naman dyan, katabi ng Malampaya. nasa loob lahat yan ng iisip natin, napakalapit niyan.
According to Secretary Esperon, currently they use satellite technology to monitor unauthorized vessels entering into Philippines territory.
Actually, meron tayong Novasar satellite dyan. Run by the Philippine Space Agency. At pinapalawig pa natin yung ating kakayahan tungkol sa satellite. For now, ang ginagamit natin yung flights, maritime patrols, sovereign patrols ng Air Force, ng Navy, as run by the what we call the Area Task Force West at saka Area Task Force North. Diyan sa mga karagatan yan, led by the Western Command and the Northern Luzon Command ng Armed Forces.
Amid the latest rift in the West Philippine Sea, President Duterte said he don't want any trouble as the country recognizes its debt to China. But he said China should respect the Philippines' position in the West Philippine Sea. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte has invited former Senator Juan Ponce Enrile to join his next televised address on Monday to discuss issues concerning the West Philippine Sea. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
Amid the criticisms against his administration in relation to the West Philippine Sea, President Rodrigo Duterte revealed that he wanted to hear the position of former Senator Juan Ponce Enrile regarding the issue. According to the chief executive, he invited the former lawmaker to attend his next cabinet meeting on Monday, May 17.
Nga pala, we have respectfully invited Senator Enrile to come here kasi hindi man ako pwedeng makalabas na mag-usap. Pakinggan natin siya. Huwag na tayo, hindi na magsalita. Makikinig na ako sa kanya kasi siya yung he was there right at the beginning. So sa kanya ako makinig kasi sa kanya ako believe sa utak at pag-intindi nitong problema, itong ating West Philippine Sea.
The chief executive hopes the former senator will accept his invitation. Enrile expressed support to the Duterte administration's stance to peacefully negotiate with China on the West Philippine Sea issue. Meanwhile, the president expressed doubts if the United Nations could really help the Philippines in defending its legal claims in the disputed territory.
Kailan pa ba naging useful yung United Nations? Kayo-kayo lang dyan. Kayo kasi mga puro papel kayo, puro teori.
President Duterte has been criticized over his alleged soft approach towards China in relation to the maritime dispute. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Families of peace consultants designated by the government as terrorists fear that the designation done by the Anti-Terror Council will not only freeze their assets. Dante Amento tells us why.
Being designated as terrorist will allow the Anti-Money Laundering Council to have an access on the personal bank account of the designee. According to peace consultants lawyer Chrissy Conti of the Public Interest Lawyers Center, it further gathers important information that would violate right to privacy.
Also authorizes the AMLC na upon prodding or upon request by the APC, they can also inquire, they can also investigate. So it's not just a matter, kaya two things pa yan, It's freezing, hindi ka makaka-withdraw, pero also the AMLC might have access already, might know who have deposited into your accounts and to whom are you depositing from your accounts and so forth.
Sharon Silva, spouse of Adalberto Silva, worries that designation may be used as supplemental evidence by the prosecution to indict suspect or respondent into a more heavier case such as terrorism.
Yung mga trials na nangyayari under the courts, anong mangyayari dyan kapag inaccept o naging valid o invalidate itong designation na ito, na magkakaroon na siguro ng kapangyarihan ang gobyerno na i-override na yon at i-convict na sila dun sa mga krimen na yon.
But Anti-Terrorism Council spokesperson Undersecretary Adrian Sugay clarifies it is the position of the government that only freezing of assets is the purpose of designation under Section 25 of the ATA. The Public Interest Lawyer Center Legal Counsel for Rafael Bailusis, Ray Casambre, Vicente Ladlad, and Adalberto Silva, on the other hand, is hesitant to apply for delisting at the Anti-Terrorism Council which made the designation.
At this stage, talagang hindi nakaka-inspire ng confidence na magsampa ng delisting sa ATC. Kasi yung nature mismo nga nung ATC kung paano sila nag-arrive at dun sa decision. Tapos sa kanila mo rin ipapafile yung motion for delisting. So, although we're still exploring all possible legal remedies.
For now, lawyers of the designee are planning to file a manifestation to the Supreme Court. Families of the designees also call to junk the anti-terrorism law and release all political prisoners across the country. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Vice Chairman of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, and National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. divulged that Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. will eventually leave his position at the right time as a spokesperson of the task force. Secretary Esperon said that for now, Parlade's task in the counterinsurgency task force is limited only to his expertise.
Halimbawa, si General Parlade, commander ng Southern Luzon Command yan, yun ang primary task niya. He will now be speaking only on security sector operations.
Okay.
Hindi na lahat. Hanggang sa makita namin kung pwede na siyang umiksit para train. Iti-train din niya kasi yung iba or sasabihin niya, ganito ang connection niyan, ganito ang connection.
Parlade became controversial for his red tagging statements. This is why some senators want to defund the task force multi-billion peso budget this year. Also, other lawmakers insist that Parlade's appointment is unconstitutional. Instead of firing Parlade, the NTF-ELCAC chairman announced that the task force will have 6 additional spokespersons.
Tensions may be escalating in Israel, but the Department of Labor and Employment says there is no advice yet for deployment ban of Filipino workers to the Jewish state. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
So, napakagandang balita talaga ngayon na talagang wala nang mask. Kung makikita ninyo, is talagang yung iba is wala nang mask. Yung mga nainom dito sa coffee shop is wala nang mask.
Filipino caregiver Chris Salcedo just recorded this vlog in April after restrictions were eased due to the successful vaccination program in Israel. Filipino communities are excited to hold events like what they used to do before the pandemic. But with the tension in the Gaza area, they have now mixed emotions. According to Chris, even if he is working in the northern part of Israel, far from the most targeted areas, he still fears for his security. Chris' salary in Israel is triple compared in the Philippines, but he is willing to give it all up and head back to his home country.
Yes, lilikas po dahil hindi naman po namin alam kung hanggang kailan ang tensyon na mararanasan namin dito.
Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said that the tension is getting worse in Israel, but there is no reported Filipino casualty.
Meron lang isa na nagpatulong na malipat dahil yung kanyang employer sa muntik ng mabulsa yung bahay. Kaya sa takot, nagpatulong na maiipat muna siya. Kaya kinuha siya ng ating labor associate at nilipat sa shelter na kung nasaan ang mga kasamahan ng kababayan natin.
Secretary Bello says Filipinos planning to go to Israel can still process their documents because there is no deployment ban yet imposed in the country.
We are waiting for the signal coming from the Department of Foreign Affairs pagdating sa ban o kaya sa repatriation. Hinihintay natin pag nag-alert level 3 or 4 na, ayun, then deployment ban at saka maaaring force repatriation. Pero sa ngayon, Ray, wala pa.
To date, Israel is host to around 70,000 OFWs, mostly working as caregivers and hotel workers. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Israel said it had deployed ground troops in its assault on Hamas in the Gaza Strip after days of relentless bombings aimed at the Palestinian militant group that has fired more than 1,500 rockets into the Jewish state. The deployment of ground troops, including tanks and artillery, marked an escalation of the 5-day conflict and raised speculations about whether Israel is planning to invade Gaza. In recent days, Israel has launched a barrage of airstrikes against militants in Gaza, killing 103 Palestinians, including 38 women and children, according to the local health officials. A total of 580 have been wounded. Despite the bombardment, Hamas has continued to fire rockets deep into Israel and on Thursday caused Israeli authorities to reroute international flights from Tel Aviv. The militants have killed 7 Israelis this week, including a soldier and a child. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth, is investigating over 15,000 alleged fraudulent and non-fraudulent claims. However, a group of hospitals is not convinced with the state health insurer's move. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
The legal department of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth, is now looking into more than 15,000 alleged false claims since 2019 up to the present. PhilHealth's Dr. Shirley Domingo says the number is comprised of both fraudulent and non-fraudulent claims. Examples of claims that are fraudulent are misrepresentation or false information, ghost patients, and post-dating of claims, while claims considered as non-fraudulent include unjustified admission beyond bed capacity, which Dr. Domingo says is reasonable given the current pandemic situation. Most of claims came from regions that have the most number of hospitals, such as the National Capital Region, Region 3, and Region 4A. Dr. Domingo clarifies that reimbursements will continue even to health facilities that allegedly submitted false claims.
Not all reimbursements, only of that claim. Kasi tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang bayad dun sa hospital na yun. Pag nakita may diferensya yung claim ng ating claims processor, fina-forward ito sa legal for further investigation, and kung may makita nga, then build up of the case. These are like irregularities. Hindi pa talaga siya filed as cases dun sa ating arbitration.
Hospitals that will be found guilty in the first offense may face suspension of PhilHealth accreditation and fines. However, on the fourth offense for non-fraudulent claims and third offense for fraudulent claims, hospitals may face revocation of PhilHealth accreditation. However, the Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines, or PHAPI, is not convinced. Dr. Jose Rene de Grano says PhilHealth has been doing this for years when they are experiencing backlogs and reimbursing claims to hospitals, just like now.
Every year na yan eh. Bigla nilang ilalabas, okay, meron kaming mga fraudulent claims, false claims. Para bang in a way, parang ini-intimidate nila ang mga hospitals na huwag kayong masyadong magreklamo. If they have enough proof, then do their due diligence, do their due process, and then file the necessary case.
Open po ang lines natin. Wala dapat away-away dito kasi dapat nagkakaisa tayo, lalo na ngayon sa pandemya.
The PHAPI is urging PhilHealth to hire a third-party reviewer to ensure an impartial investigation on the alleged false claims. The group is also considering to ask the Anti-Red Tape Authority for help to urge PhilHealth to fast-track the reimbursement of claims to private hospitals. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God. The Department of the Interior and Local Government reminds beneficiaries of the Social Amelioration Program within the NCR Plus that they have until Saturday, May 15, to claim their 2021 cash aid from their respective local government units. JP Nunez will tell us why live. Yes, JP.
Yes, Herlene, despite the repeated calls from the local government units, beneficiaries of the Social Amelioration Program in the NCR Plus area have until Saturday or May 15 to claim their cash aid. After the May 15 deadline, the LGUs are required to prepare a new payroll of beneficiaries affected by the ECQ in their respective communities utilizing the unclaimed funds.
Bibigyan namin ng 10 araw ang lahat ng LGU para ayusin yung lahat ng mga problema na to. Makagawa sila ng supplemental payroll para mabayaran po yung mga qualified pero wala sa listahan. At ito po mga hindi na makita ay ma-finalize na po hanggang May 15 na. Kung hindi po nila makiklaim, ay ito po ay pwede nating ipamigay doon sa mga qualified pa rin po.
Harleen, the 2021 ayuda is a 22.9 billion financial assistance package ordered by President Rodrigo Duterte for distribution to low-income individuals in areas affected by the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ known as NCR+. The cash assistance consists of 1,000 peso per individual with a maximum of 4,000 per family. As of May 13, 90% of the 22.9 billion ayuda have been distributed to beneficiaries in the NCR Plus area. 20.5 billion consisting of some 22,915,422 individual beneficiaries. That is our live. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, JP Nunez, for those updates.
And for the news abroad, thousands of Cambodians are left without access to food, essential medicines, and other necessities for weeks as COVID-19 infection spikes. Annie Mancilia will give us the details live. Yes, Annie.
Marielle, harsh lockdown conditions in different areas of Cambodia are causing people to complain of hunger, with those that have been under the most restrictive lockdown measures since mid-April, not being able to get food and necessities for weeks now. Despite the 3-week blanket lockdown being lifted in the capital city Phnom Penh last week, more than 150,000 Cambodians living in red zones are still prohibited from leaving their houses unless specific medical reasons are provided. According to residents from the designated red zones, there are barricades blocking the streets and that they have not been able to go to work since lockdown was imposed and receive no help from the government. Meanwhile, human rights groups are criticizing the Cambodian government and the United Nations for being too slow to act. Asia Director of Human Rights Watch, Brad Adams, said that it is a government-created crisis that people are stuck at home without enough food or medical support, and that the government should be able to deal with public health concerns without having people complain of hunger. UN Resident Coordinator in Cambodia, Pauline Damasus, on the other hand, says more than $100 million has been spent in the country since last year, and that UN agencies are calling for access to the red zones to provide emergency food assistance and basic amenities to those in need. Marielle?
All right, Annie, thank you for the live report. An Indian man has shared a video of his wife shot just days before she succumbed to COVID-19, cautioning against the deadly nature of the virus. Paul Gatalian will give us the details live. Yes, Paul, please go ahead.
Marielle, Dr. Dimple Aurora Chola, a dentist, was 7 months pregnant with her second child when she tested positive for coronavirus in April. 2 weeks later, the 34-year-old lost her unborn baby. The next day, the doctor too lost her battle to the virus. Days before her death, the Delhi-based woman had put out a video message to her family and friends, urging them to not take the deadly virus lightly.
Please don't take corona so lightly. Very bad symptoms. I am not able to speak, but I really want to convey my message to all. Please wear mask whenever you go outside.
Her husband, Ravish Chabla, told local TV station NDTV that she had been admitted to the hospital with worsening symptoms in late April. He said the lack of guidelines and data about drugs or treatment for pregnant women infected with COVID-19 made his wife's battle even more daunting.
All right, thank you, Paul, for that live report. Americans can now go outdoors in crowds without wearing masks in a move to allow life to begin and return to normal. Beverly Saison reports why.
Fully vaccinated Americans can now return to their activities without the need to wear mask coverings or physically distancing. This is according to the advice released by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC.
Anyone who is fully vaccinated can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physical distancing. If you are fully vaccinated, you can start doing the things that you had stopped doing because of the pandemic. We have all longed for this moment when we can get back to some sense of normalcy. Based on the continuing downward trajectory of cases, the scientific data on the performance of our vaccines, and our understanding of how the virus spreads, that moment has come for those who are fully vaccinated.
However, masks is still needed if it is required by federal, state, local, tribal, territorial laws, rules, and regulations, including on local businesses and workplace guidance. Likewise, the guidance still calls for wearing masks in indoor crowded settings such as in buses, trains, and other forms of public transportation, as well as airports and stations. Officials hope that this will get more people vaccinated, which will allow life to begin to return to normal before the pandemic. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden continues to encourage Americans to get vaccinated.
I think it's a great milestone, a great day. It's been made possible by the extraordinary success we've had in vaccinating so many Americans so quickly. Get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. It's vaxxed or masked. Get vaccinated.
Beverly Saison, UNTV, News and Rescue, USA. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Elon Musk has tweeted that Tesla would stop accepting Bitcoin, wiping hundreds of billions of dollars from the cryptocurrency market. Marvy Delfin will tell us why live. Yes, Marvy, good evening.
Marielle, Elon Musk has announced that Tesla would suspend the use of Bitcoin for purchases over concerns about the use of electricity generated from fossil fuel for mining the widely held cryptocurrency. The CEO previously revealed in February that the electric car making company had bought $1.5 billion of the digital currency, but has now backtracked due to the climate change sentiments of environmentalists as well as investors. In his tweet, Musk expressed his strong belief in digital currencies while also advocating for clean technology. Musk added that Tesla would not sell any of its Bitcoin and intended to use Bitcoin for transactions as soon as mining transitioned to more sustainable energy. After the tweet, Bitcoin plunged by more than 7%, which is its lowest point since early March, while Tesla shares also fell by 1.25%. Chris Weston, head of research at broker Pepperstone in Melbourne, said the decision of Elon Musk was a blow to Bitcoin, but an acknowledgement of the currency's carbon footprint. According to a recent study, the Bitcoin's carbon footprint is as large as one of China's 10 largest cities. China accounts for more than 75% of Bitcoin mining globally, which primarily relies on coal. However, some Bitcoin proponents note that the existing traditional financial system, with its millions of employees and computers in air-conditioned buildings, utilizes large amounts of energy too. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Marvy, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Maria Latoza, live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
And those are the reasons behind the news, May 14, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.